So just a couple of days ago, it was leaked that Warner Brothers was going to be shelving the Batgirl movie with Leslie Grace. Over the first few hours after this news was leaked, people were understandably skeptical. It came from one source, unverified, plus Batgirl was supposed to have Brendan Fraser as the villain. They can't just put a stop to the movie. It's the Renaissance, baby. We're living it. Also, Batgirl was already in post-production, so it felt really strange for WB to just throw all that money away and not release anything. But, yeah. A couple hours later, the report was verified. The Batgirl movie that was nearly done is now no longer in production and not slated to come out at all. And like, yeah, obviously that's sad and all, but I'm sorry, all of this reporting buries the real lead here. Because it wasn't just Batgirl that was shelved, okay? Warner Brothers also canceled the most important movie of 2022, Scoob Holiday Haunt. I couldn't figure out how to change the thumbnail for this video, so sorry. Maybe I'll figure it out later, but there's no time right now because I want to talk about what just happened. What is going on at DC and Warner Brothers that led to these rash decisions? And what does it mean for, yeah, all right, Batgirl and the DC movie franchise as a whole, but more importantly, what does it mean for my beloved Scooby-Doo franchise? Looks like we've got a mystery on our hands. Ruh-roh. How are you doing, you wonderful nerds? Scott here, and after the video I did about the Velma series announcement like a month or two ago, I feel like I could carve out an entire new niche covering Scoob news on this channel. In addition to all the other stuff that I do as well. I'm just trying a lot of new stuff these days, having fun with it. And if you like these kinds of videos, hit that like button so I know that you want to see more of it. And maybe subscribe, I don't know. So according to The Hollywood Reporter, who I believe was the first to officially break this story after the New York Post leaked it earlier in the day, Warner Brothers has scrapped the release of both Batgirl and Scoob Holiday Haunt thanks to their merger with Discovery that happened a couple months ago. The freshly instated CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, David Zaslav, wants to prioritize cost-cutting measures at the company, apparently needing to find $3 billion in savings. So you see why this plan is so smart. I mean, we all know that the best way to cut costs is to pump over $100 million into 2 movies and then shelf them right at the finish line. That's why they pay him the big bucks, which coincidentally is probably a better place they could cut costs. I'm assuming. I mean, they already spent so much money on getting these movies through pre-production and production, especially after COVID inflated Batgirl's budget from $80 million to $90 million, but it's right at post-production when suddenly we're concerned about saving money. It's weird. I thought we were talking about DC, not Marvel. Unionized VFX artists. Now you guys know that I wear sweatpants when I record. I'm not dressed up at all. But it's not like these 2 films were ever going to have a theatrical release anyway. They were both reportedly going to come out on HBO Max, Warner's own streaming service, which to me seems like actual legitimate cost cutting. Yep, wait, sorry, that's a little confusing here as well because our boy Davey Zaslav also said that he wants to refocus Warner Brothers on creating theatrical films rather than projects for streaming. And what's interesting about that is that it doesn't make any sense. Like, doesn't it make more financial sense to put more projects on your streaming service as a way to cut costs from doing theatrical released films? You already own the streaming service. Just upload the file to that. You don't have to do all this other distribution. Now, to be fair, I don't know the exact math there, how that shakes out at all, but I don't know, it feels like a backwards move to me, personally. Spoke too soon. It does look like The Hollywood Reporter does address this specific issue right after the paywall. So that's a little frustrating, but you know what? It's fine, you know, gotta support good journalism where you can. So, could you all just look away from the screen really quick? I need to type in my credit card number. I just don't want you to see it is all. And there we go. I know that the site looks a little weird now. I think that's just how it's supposed to look when they know that you have money, because they don't need to impress you anymore. Okay, yeah, here we go. Insiders say that big budget films made directly for streaming no longer make financial sense under the company's new strategy. And that's all the info they have about that. All right, then. You know what? I will give them this, though. Warner Brothers did do a whole year of releasing their new movies directly to HBO Max, and I guess that just didn't work out. Or more likely, knowing how big corporations function, it likely did work out just fine, but it didn't result in infinitely exponential profit growth. So back to the drawing board. Woo! Uh-oh, breaking news. Scott here again from 2 days after I recorded the main part of this video. News keeps breaking, and so I just want to get ahead of it as best I can. Is there fuzz on the microphone? So it looks like Warner Brothers Discovery are going to merge their two streaming services, HBO Max and Discovery Plus, into one singular streaming service. And it's going to have all of their content, plus apparently some stuff from their already dead third streaming service, CNN Plus, and also the Magnolia Network, which are those home renovation shows that are always on at eye doctor waiting rooms and your parents' house every time you visit them. Adam from Heroes Reforged has a fantastic Twitter thread about the entire earnings call that just happened, so definitely go follow him. He always has like a ton of great insider knowledge and insight about this sort of stuff. That's where I got all of these screenshots. Thanks, Adam. Including this one, which I think is secretly the upcoming roster for Multiverses. I would like to see Guy Fieri beat up one of the Property brothers. The straight one. You figure it out. The earnings call repeated the idea that big budget direct-to-streaming films are not profitable or not as profitable as they would like them to be. Although it does sound like they're addressing that head on by making an ad-free tier of the streaming service, an ad-light tier, and an ad-only tier, apparently. That way you can just watch the commercials without being interrupted by all those pesky movies and TV shows that Warner Brothers can now fund now that you've spent all night digesting the deep lore of laundry detergent and car insurance ads. But I still can't get past how both Batgirl and Scoob are movies that are nearly done. They're almost completely finished at this point. And that's not an exaggeration either. Tony Cervone, or potentially Tony Cervoni, which would be very fun. He's produced, directed, and written a bunch of modern Scooby-Doo movies and shows along with Spike Brandt, including Scoob Holiday Haunt. He wrote in an Instagram post, quote, "Yes, I am afraid this is true. The movie is practically finished and turned out beautifully. I am beyond heartbroken." And look, I'm not the biggest fan of the 2020 Scoob movie. I hosted an entire live stream after it came out where we roasted it for an hour. We raised money for charity. Matthew Lillard shared it. It was a good time. Unlike the movie. The movie was less of a good time. But I did genuinely have massive hopes for its sequel, Holiday Haunt, right? For starters, the biggest complaint about the first Scoob movie is that it did the voice cast dirty. It replaced voice acting greats who have been carrying the Scooby-Doo franchise on TV for decades and did the weirdly common sin of replacing them with just regular actors.
I want The Rock to play me.
Who have slightly more public name recognition, as if that matters in a children's cartoon. I love Will Forte, but I don't think a 9-year-old is itching to watch a Scooby-Doo movie because they're dying to see what their favorite SNL alum is up to. And to be honest, my favorite part of the Scoob movie was all of the stuff before that main voice cast took over, when they were kids, just starting out with their mystery-solving business, getting to know each other, becoming friends. It was so cute. I got Pup Named Scooby-Doo vibes. You all know how much I love Pup Named Scooby-Doo. It's the best. And Scoob Holiday Haunt was going to double down on all of that. Let me just read you the synopsis. To celebrate Scooby-Doo's first Christmas, 10-year-old Shaggy and the gang take him to a holiday-themed resort owned by Fred's favorite uncle, Ned. When the park... First, I didn't even realize that. That's cute. Fred and Ned. That's adorable. When the park is beset by a ghostly haunting, the kids must solve a 40-year-old mystery to save the resort and show Scooby the true meaning of Christmas. I mean, that's literally a pup named Scooby-Doo. We could have been able to hear this banger again. And yeah, I guess some of the child actors are still kind of famous, at least some of them are. Young Daphne would have been played by McKenna Grace, who is in literally everything, and young Shaggy would have been played by young Sheldon. If he ever plays young Sherlock, he'll finally have the trifecta of young SH characters under his belt, whatever that is good for. Let's make it happen! But I don't think they cast these child actors because of their name recognition or star power or anything. I mean, they were the same child actors who played the young cast in the original Scoob movie, and the marketing didn't hype that up at all. I think they're just genuinely talented young actors. I mean, young Velma was played by young Gamora. That's good stuff right there. Sure, the main adult characters were still going to be played by recognizable celebrities, but they are celebrities who are also super talented and seasoned voice actors. Ming-Na Wen, Mark Hamill. Michael McKean, who, yeah, sure, is another SNL alum, but he's also been in like every 90s and early 2000s cartoon. I don't know, gang. I really was looking forward to this Scoob movie. It seemed like it was going to be taking the fleeting good moments from the first one and like fleshing it out into an entire film of just the good stuff. But here's the thing, and I really want to hammer this home. Even if Scoob Holiday Haunt was going to be just as bad or even worse than the original, I don't think that really matters. When the news broke about Batgirl and Scoob, I tweeted something like, so we're all equally upset about both films, right? And that was kind of a joke. I knew that more people would be upset about Batgirl, and I get why. It's a movie about a woman superhero played by an actress who isn't as white as Brendan Fraser's cowboy hat, acting against Brendan Fraser himself, sans cowboy hat. There is a lot to get excited about there. That being said, there was some earnestness to my tweet. Not just because I'm a Scooby-Doo expert, check out the Twitter banner, thank you very much, but in both circumstances, Batgirl and Scoob are two movies that, again, I can't stress this enough, were nearly complete. And regardless of quality, it feels wrong to me that both films get shelved for no reason after all of the work and love that everyone involved put into them, while Flashpoint apparently gets to live on despite the seemingly innumerable headlines that start with Ezra Miller and continue to say the most batshit string of words you've ever heard. I stole that joke from Grayson's Projects, who did a fantastic video about Ezra Miller's whole mess right now. Just go check that one out. However, I do have a theory about Flashpoint and the greater DC extended cinematic universe as a whole. So it seems to me that the Flashpoint movie was going to serve as sort of a reboot, relaunch, reconstruction of the DC movie franchise, pulling actors out, putting some other ones in, messing with the universe, getting some sort of continuity in order that makes a little bit more sense. And maybe the reason they shelved Batgirl is because there was going to be a lot of continuity stuff in there that was supposed to tie back in with Flashpoint, and now Flashpoint's kind of a mess, and they're still trying to decide what they're going to do with that movie. But okay, even if that is the case, how do you explain Scoob? Why is Scoob on the shelf now as well? Well, about a week or so ago, James Gunn tweeted out that they would probably, they being Warner Brothers here, would probably let him make a third Scooby-Doo live-action film if he asked. Now, if you didn't know this, James Gunn wrote the original two live-action Scooby-Doo movies, and he's currently in good graces with Warner Brothers and DC because The Suicide Squad was very successful, Peacemaker, the TV show, also very successful. So, what if, and this is not gonna happen, but what if they were gearing up to release a third live-action Scooby-Doo film with the original cast? They've all aged like fine wine. Not a single one of them is bad. Get them all back in here. They're older. It's a little darker. I mean, James Gunn originally said that he wrote these movies to be more adult, and then they were sort of brought down to a kid-friendly, family-friendly level. So let him have full reins at it again with his, James Gunn twisted mind that he always, that DC's always promoting it. Ooh, from the twisted mind of all these things. Inside of this third, final live-action Scooby-Doo film, written by James Gunn the way that he wants it to be, it is Scooby-Doo and the gang discovering an interdimensional portal between realms, between worlds and universes, a multiverse, if you will. And now, this Scooby-Doo movie is going to serve as Flashpoint. It's not as bonkers as you think. Scooby-Doo and Batman have hung out like all the time. Don't they even have like that new video game that's all about putting all of their different properties together into the same universe? It's called like Multiverses. And then Space Jam also happened, but I didn't see it, so I assume there was stuff about a multiverse in there, or a Warner Brothers universe, I don't know. And the catalyst for this multiverse event is when Shaggy unleashes more than 0.2% of his power. A dangerous thing for us all to witness, but it must happen. Shockwaves throughout the entire multiverse. And the aftermath is whatever Warner Brothers wants to do with all of their movies from now on. Basically what I'm saying is if Warner Brothers is determined to serve up a mess on a platter, then there's no two people, I think, who would enjoy it. Well, Scoob's not a person, but you're understanding what I'm saying. They eat food and make messes and such. I don't even know if that metaphor made any sense. Was it even a metaphor? It was, whatever. Unleash the scoob-verse. In the meantime, there is a petition on change.org to get Warner to release the Scooby cut, so to speak. But I'll leave it in the description. I don't think they're really going to do much about it, it really just sucks for everyone involved who spent years working on this thing with nothing to show for it. And it does sound like they may be scaling back on the quantity of scripted streaming content, focusing instead on the quality. So they say anyway, which means there's definitely going to be more cuts and cancellations in the future. There's even some reporting that says Warner Brothers Discovery state that kids and animation content will be seeing a broad range of cuts across streaming and linear platforms, which obviously sucks. Animation is just a fantastic platform for storytelling in general, and kids content is still very good and also a great way to tell stories. So as much as I hate to admit it, it does feel like some additional Scooby content that we just recently were promised is also likely going to be on the chopping block. That being said, as far as I have learned from my contacts who are actively working on things like the Velma series and Mystery Pups, it doesn't sound like they've heard anything about cancellations, but they also didn't know about all the WB stuff with the Scoob movie and everything. So it's like nobody really knows what's going on. So as far as I can say right now in this specific moment that I'm recording this video, it feels like those Scooby shows are still planning on coming out, even though I know some of you wish that they wouldn't. But hey, at the very least, you can rest assured knowing that there's a fan-made Mystery Incorporated series that's pretty good. Shout out to those folks. But I really don't think WB knows what they're doing with Scooby-Doo, let alone most of their franchises. It's always an option that they could give it to me. I'll take Scooby-Doo. I will take the dog. Give me the dog. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to my videos, leave a like and hit subscribe for more Scooby-Doo content. I talk about Scoob a lot. In fact, I'll put a playlist in the description to all my Scooby-Doo videos if you want to watch them, you wonderful nerd. That's what I call my fans and followers because I think it's cute. If you are feeling extra generous, please support me on Patreon. I would love to hit 1,000 patrons this year with names like A Filthy Casual, Amanda Trisdale, BKBW, C. McCartney Smith, Christopher Lang, DeCassowary, Eric Ketchum, Eric Totoropato, Jacob Rundell, Jonathan and Megan Pearson, Jonathan Lanowski, Mar Sottledeen, Marisa Wilson, Pete Temple, William Tolotson, and the rest of the wonderful nerds who support me over at patreon.com/NerdSync, link in the description. Once again, my name is Scott, reminding you to explore your favorite art through curiosity and vulnerability. See ya.